All right, good morning. Paula English here. It is January 9, 2017. I saw something that said their New Year's resolution was going to be to remember to write 2017 instead of 2016, and I thought, shoot, I'm still writing 1996. So
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I don't know if it even matters anymore. It's automatic. So anyway, welcome to the new year. I'm excited to be able to tell you about some of the fun stuff we're going to do, really in response. My business has always been in response to what people tell me they need. That's just been my driving thing. Rather than trying to think it up and then make it fit, I listen to you and then try and create the structure that will support you where you are. And right now, there is a core group of folks who are really committed to focusing on the recruiting aspect of your business. And I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Today, the focus is we're going to do a quick overview of our 13 key elements and why that's important. We'll talk a little bit about what's available this year where you can participate, how to get registered for a scholarship if you want one of those. And then we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting in 2017. So the first thing I would like to just review for you is this idea of 13 key elements. Now, some of you, that may be a new concept. For those of you who worked with me for a while, that's going to ring a bell. Your 13 key elements are basically the combination of your 5 steps for strategic business planning and the recipe for conversation. Your 5 steps has 5, and your recipe has 8. Together, that makes 13. And the idea is that if you are focused on generating income as an entrepreneur, your main jobs are marketing, and that's what you do to get the prospects, and selling, which is turning those prospects into assets. And they seem very similar. Marketing and selling seem very similar because they're very closely connected. However, they are distinctly different skill sets. And each one has its own component for success. And all of these components overlap. Those are distinctly different, and yet they are interchangeable and they overlap. There are a lot of strategies within the possibilities. And for a lot of folks, that's the part that makes it overwhelming and maybe a little complicated, because it's knowing what to do, when to do it, and what to say that all add up to that full-time job that you're running to keep your business, to build your business, and then keep it running. And the bad news, good news, bad news, is obstacles arise. That's always been one of my key questions in working with people. What obstacle, if you could overcome it, would help move your business ahead the most right now? Part of the strategy of using your 13 key elements is, as you continue to build and develop your business, obstacles will arise. That's just the nature of the planet. So rather than getting stuck or having inertia or whatever it is that happens for you when you hit an obstacle, what we want to do is give you the skill set for overcoming those obstacles. That's the key, is you want to be able to identify and overcome obstacles every time they arise, so you never get stuck. Can't tell you there won't be obstacles. There will be. However, they don't have to be bad, and they don't have to be destructive or keep you stuck. I'd like to ask you 3 specific questions, and maybe you can write these down and think about them. over the next few weeks, as we are working on building our strategy for 2017, I'd like you to consider these 3 questions. Number 1, do you have a specific plan for your business to run on autopilot? Do you have a specific plan for your business to run on autopilot? Could you walk away and it would keep running? Or are you the one holding it all together all the time, every day, juggling the balls? So I'd like you to think. Do you have a specific plan for your business to run on autopilot? Question number 2. How easy would it be for someone else to benefit from what you've built? Now, they might be able to just simply transfer the title and get paid the annuity from the corporation. And as long as people keep buying, or if you've built a large organization, maybe there's going to be that continual annuity. If they do nothing, they could still get some money. But most folks, that's not the case. You would actually, even if you sold or bought another business, you'd still have to have someone running it. For a lot of people, as they expand their business, they're simply creating for themselves a job. So what I want to know is, in your creation and building of your business, how easy would it be for someone else to benefit? If you walked away, could someone else come in and benefit from what you've built? And number
Paula,
3.
Paula,
Yes,
can I ask a question on that number 2?
you bet.
This is Mary. I was just curious, because we've talked about this before. When you purchase another Shackley business, are you then under that person's upline, or does that whole group come in under you?
You would actually go wherever that business is,
Okay.
generally. I mean, again, I'm sure there are some options where maybe there isn't active upline and they could be moved. That would be, I think, a case-by-case situation.
Okay.
But again, it would more than likely be that you would move your own self physically to wherever, not in geographically, but as far
Right,
as your
but under
position.
that upline versus the current one I have.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. All right, question number 3. Do you have a specific net value that you are working towards as a part of your financial plan? Do you have a specific net value that you are working towards as a part of your financial plan? Have you looked at that business that you're building and developing? Consider the value of the database that you're building, using the tools and math problems that are out there. And again, there's always going to be some annuity value that comes from the corporation, but for my intents and purposes, I'm talking about what you own outright, not what the company owns. So, do you have a specific net value that you are working towards as a part of your financial plan? Now, as you let these questions kind of soak in, I'd like you to keep them visible. Put them up where you can see them. and think about what that means to you and how. Have you ever thought about stuff like that? Are those completely new concepts? Or have you been building on these concepts all along? Where are you in terms of that financial plan? For me as a coach, my goal is to help you build the asset, something that you own that has value. So yes, of course, the company benefits. Yes, of course, your upline benefits. There's all kinds of great benefits from building and developing a business in network marketing. But if we've got to talk about you individually and personally. So when I'm talking to you, it's about you personally. What are you building for your asset? You may not even realize the potential value of what you're building, especially if you're still wrestling with what to say to people when they ask you, what do you do? Or how to get those first handful of customers, or how to reach that PV volume that you're trying to make, or how to learn how to talk about the compensation plan. If you're still wrestling all that other stuff, when we talk about long-term asset value, that may be wild outside of the realm of imagination. But I'm going to encourage you to consider these things, because as you look at yourself as an entrepreneur building an asset, all of these other things will have much more value. All right, so back to our 13 key elements. If you put those two together, you have 13 key elements specific to the task of marketing and selling. And by lining up these 13 key elements, you will be able to identify the root of every obstacle and overcome it. Right? So by lining up these 13 key elements, you will be able to identify the root of every obstacle and overcome it. And it's easy, and you can do it right now. Anytime you feel stuck, anytime you're not sure what to do next, you just go right down the list. And as I mentioned at the beginning, they're interchangeable. I mean, we have to, and my brain works very linear, so we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have to release it in order. I can't just give you a big ball of stuff and say, here's all of it. We have to work at it one at a time. However, as you mature in your understanding, you're going to find that all of these things are interchangeable. And what we really want to look at is the idea of getting very clear as to who is your ideal prospect for your products, for your business. We want to turn those prospects into assets. It's not just about talking to anybody to see who has a pulse, to get them to try something to see what might happen. Part of the goal is to have laser focus to identify exactly the ones who are the right fit for you and for your business. And the more important it is for you to make money, the more narrow your focus must be. If it doesn't matter, if you don't need money, if you're out, on the beach every day, doesn't matter, then you can talk to anybody. It doesn't matter. You don't need any skill set. You can just talk. But if you really need to generate income, if you really are focused on building a productive business, then you must be very particular. And that may sound contrary, but the more important it is for you to create income, the more focused you must be. Now, the last point about our 13 key elements is touching on the aspect of tools. We are in an age of tools and technology, and there are so many things to choose from. There is no shortage of tools. And from someone who just gets started, they can be laid out with every option of tools and online thing and print thing and DVD thing and every choice of all kinds of tools. And a lot of them are fantastic and can be really helpful. The problem is most entrepreneurs pick out their tools before they know what their plan looks like. Websites, print materials, stationery, DVDs are essential in many marketing strategies. But investing in those tools and not knowing how to use them decreases your return on that investment. So I suggest that you put a moratorium on investing in anything until you have your plan in place. Once you know who you are, you know who you're identified as your target market, you know what you're going to do and how often and when, you have the focus and the consistency. Then, when you invest in those tools, you will get the greatest return on your investment. So again, I'm very conservative about going out and buying lots of things and investing in lots of things until you're solid with your plan. Communication is a key thing. A lot of folks can be excited about their products. They can have great results with their products. They can feel compelled to talk to people about their products, but they're unable to capitalize on that enthusiasm because of obstacles in communication. If we don't know what to say and when to say it, it's difficult to turn our prospects into the long-term assets. So the recipe for conversation and the companion Communicating and Selling Effectively library, those are the paperback book that's available, as well as the online library, are the specific tools to help you with your communication skills. So 13 key elements is our 5 steps for strategic business planning. There is an online ebook, an online library, and within another few weeks we're going to announce a reprint of the actual workbook, which I'm pretty excited about that, and our recipe for conversation, which is the paperback book and online library. Those are the 13 key elements to help you in overcoming obstacles. All right, let's do a quick overview of, does anybody have any questions at this point?
Sounds good, Paula.
All right. If you're on your computer, if you want to see what the options are for 2017 in the new year, you can go to ParagonLivingInstitute.com. That should take you to my Eventbrite page. That gives you the layout of the different options. Now, these calls are going to be every Monday, noon Eastern, and these are open to the public and free. I encourage you to mark your calendar and be a part of these whenever you can. This is something that, again, part of that support of people who are active and engaged this year, specifically focused on recruiting. These calls will be more and more tuned to recruiting activities, and I'll give you the schedule in just a minute. So at ParagonLivingInstitute.com, on the Eventbrite page, you can register for a 5-step scholarship that will give you the 90-day access to your 5 Steps ebook and the 5 Steps online library. That is foundational for being engaged in building and developing your plan. If you would like access to the full library, that is a subscription-based card, and by registering, that will give you access to the complete library, which, especially as we get into the recruiting conversations, we're looking at the recruiting classes, developing workshops, some of the different classes that will be focused on over the next several months. You may want to consider having a library subscription so you can support this work with the training classes that are in the library. Personal coaching is also an option for a limited number of people, and right now I am accepting sign-ups for the dozen people who want to be active in personal coaching, and this includes once a week, 20 minutes in a group coaching environment. So that's the number 3 option. So if you would like to be engaged in coaching, not quite ready for everything that's available, you can be a part of our free Monday calls, as well as take advantage of the personal coaching in the small doses. That's 20 minutes a week, and usually those are Wednesdays, although there are some flexibility at today's and times. And then the next thing is the personal coaching one-on-one. That's for people who simply want one-on-one coaching. There is an option for that. We meet once a month or more often, depending on what you need. And again, that's available to a small number of people. And then our number 5 is really the expanding leader package, and that is the small group of people who want that focused time with others on the same page, working together with me. So that includes our Monday call, our Wednesday group coaching call, and at least the once-a-month one-on-one personal coaching. And, of course, that includes the full access to the library. So, again, you can look at the ParagonLivingInstitute.com to see what the options are for that. If you are simply looking to get the Recipe for Conversation book, that's just the recipeforconversation.com. So you can, and of course, if you have questions, you can always email me, Paula, at paulaenglish.com. So there are a lot of ways to engage. And again, my goal is really to support you right where you are. And because I know the folks who are working closely with me right now have really tuned their attention to recruiting, that will be our main focus for this year. So just to give you an idea, in the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about some different things. And next week, we'll start with an overview of our 5 steps and setting goals. That is something that I think is often misunderstood. So we're going to look at it from my point of view. The next week after that, on the 23rd, we'll be looking at a Recipe for Conversation overview and getting ready to build. The mindset, what you need to be emotionally, dynamically ready to start building that team. On the 30th, we'll be looking at our recruiting overview, and we'll talk about your resources and your calendar. Those are key. On February 6th, we'll be doing more into recruiting, and in this case, we'll be talking about charisma and our rules of engagement. Those are 2 components from our Recipe for Conversation. On 2/13, we'll be talking about recruiting, and that week we'll look at our target market and our activity series. That comes from our 5 steps. On February 20, recruiting focus, we're going to talk about our 22 circles, which is how to make the money and leading with the money. That is something that I think most folks resist the recruiting conversation because they're afraid to talk about money, They're afraid somebody's going to ask them how much that they're making. They're afraid someone's going to ask them how do they make the money. Whatever the fears and anxieties, I don't understand. I don't know how it works. Making the money, I know from years and years and years of coaching, is the reason why folks aren't comfortable recruiting. And there are a lot of folks who cover it up and fluff it up and make it sound like it's not recruiting or selling, and they use other words. But it is. It's recruiting and selling, and you got to know how to make the money. So let's use language that is honest and an understanding of how to do it in a way that you're comfortable talking about it. And February 27th, again, in recruiting, we're going to talk about tools, leading by example, and doing it in teams. So that's going to get us through the first couple of months of Monday calls. And as you can see, we're going to be building on these concepts. And for every Monday, we'll have some specific homework. And then for those folks who are doing coaching, we'll be going over the results of your activity and your homework on the Wednesday calls and building on that on our personal coaching. Okay, questions from anybody about what we have as far as our schedule?
Oh, I
All
have
right.
a question.
Yeah, sure, Virginia.
It's Virginia. Number one, the 90-day 5-step scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
That's a one-time $25 application fee.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that gives someone access for 90 days to the complete 5 Steps Online Library, one free download, and then every Monday. No, the group call. Well, Monday and the group call, right?
No group call. The scholarship does not include the Wednesday group call. The scholarship is the online library and the Monday call.
Okay, but then, let's see. I receive a free 20-minute coaching session on our group line. Okay. If you sign up by
That is if you sign up for the scholarship by the 15th, I will give you a free 20-minute coaching.
Okay, gotcha.
So any new scholarship people who sign up, pay the registration fee, and register in the library, as soon as you do that, then we'll make a date, and that person can get on the group coaching line, and I will give them 20 minutes for free.
Okay. So if they weren't on today, what are their options if they couldn't be
All
on
the same.
today?
Well, they're the same. They can still sign up for the scholarship. If they do it before the 15th, they can get a 20-minute coaching. One of the ways to get, I think, an overview of what I talked about today is you can go to paragonpodcasts.com and call number 3 in the paragonpodcasts.com library is an introduction to the 13 key elements. So that's a great place to start for covering what we've talked about today.
Okay, and then send them to this website to see the
And
other
then-
options.
Yes, ma'am, and then they can see if they would like to register for the 5 steps.
Okay.
They can go to the ParagonLivingInstitute.com. And if they're still just curious and want to look around, you can always go to PaulaEnglish.com to the and just look around on the website there. And we also have several videos in our YouTube library. So you can go to YouTube and look for Paragon Living. That's our channel there. And Shirley has made for us several really nice videos that give you a tour of the library, what's involved, what you can see in there. So there are several free resources that people can access that without making any commitment at all. ParagonPodcast.com, PaulaEnglish.com, and our YouTube channel, Paragon Living. All of those things are available just for people to get more familiar with what's available and decide what's a good fit for them. And, of course, these calls are always free.
You mean the Monday call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, that's what I was trying to clarify. This
Yes.
call is always free, even if they didn't get on today, or
That's right.
sign up for the 15th for the group coaching.
Yeah, now don't be
Or the
confused
scholarship.
by the group coaching. The scholarship is different from the group coaching.
Okay, got it.
They just get the little bonus if they sign up for the scholarship before the 15th.
Okay, that really helped. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and I want to know along that line, is it the ParagonLivingInstitute.com that lists all the things starting with the scholarship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, that should be linked up correctly. Make sure.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yes, it is, Paula.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, again, you've got several options for finding out what the resources are, and it ranges everything from this call being free to a full investment, giving you weekly coaching, personal coaching, access to the full library. So wherever you feel you are, I hope I've thought of enough options to give you the place to participate where it fits best for you. All right, let's talk about recruiting just for a few minutes. How many of you, if we were going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being that you're a rock star, like you got it together, there's not a single obstacle in sight, you are a rock star, and 1 being you've never talked to anybody about the business. Where are you in general when it comes to recruiting? Where would you say you are between a 1 and a 10? Never have done it, never talked to anybody, or you're a total rock star, you have no obstacles?
You wanted to give you our number?
Yeah, just give me some numbers.
4.
All
3
right.
or 4.
Okay. Anybody else? Where are you?
I would say I'm a 5 that's out of practice.
Okay. Like we've had on that ball gown in the past, but it's been a while.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
big time. Might be nearing a 6, but out of practice, yeah.
All right. Who else? Is there anybody that would say you've never really done any recruiting? That you just you've never really had the confidence or felt like you could do it at all? Is there anybody at a 1 or a 2?
Probably.
Okay, so maybe there's a couple of 1s or 2s. How about somebody who thinks you're a total rock star? You recruit all day long and have no obstacles.
Well, this is Jenna. I wouldn't say I'm a total rock star, but that is definitely something that I'm focusing on. I do most of my activities on social media, online, and so all my calls to action is about exploring the business. Exploring the business. And so what has happened is I don't have inquiries from people online necessarily, but I've had like family members and people that know me that approach me about the business. And so
they see what you're doing, right?
Because they see what I'm doing, right?
Yeah. That's what I will tell you is cold market always stimulates warm market. Warm market stimulates cold market. It really requires a combination of the two, because if you only go to friends and family and you only go to those people that you know, that scares them off because they think, well, I don't know anybody. However, if you're modeling different variety of activities that they believe they can do, then when you reach those people that you know, those people in your sphere of influence, they can see themselves maybe doing it. And it's the same thing with people you don't know. When you go to people you don't know and you say, gee, I'm working with some folks in my close sphere of influence, it encourages them. So it definitely requires a balance, and that's a great point, Jenna, is that being able to work within the people you know and the people you don't know creates a healthy balance in your recruiting diet. So that's very important. All right, well, let's do a real quick overview of what I call our prospect scale. Oftentimes, when we think about the business, we think about anybody with a pulse. And you may have been told, talk to anybody, talk to everybody, just go talk to people. It doesn't matter what you say, just get out there and start talking to people, and the right ones will get it. That may be true, but it's very painful. And if you know the odds that maybe a half of 1% to 3% of the people in your sphere of influence are going to be the right ones, that means for every 100 people you talk to, you've got to hear 97 people say no, and that's on a good day. So we want to prepare ourselves to avoid the unnecessary stress of those 97 no's. Those are simply the facts. It's not for everyone. Entrepreneurs are not everybody. It's not just people who are unhappy with their jobs. The specific person that is attracted to network marketing, entrepreneuring, setting independent goals, and creating independent life income is a very specific person. It's not everybody. So you've got to know going into it who's most likely to be successful. So we have a little prospect scale, and I'm going to leave you with this today. When you're thinking about building that sphere of influence, when you're thinking about that database and what you can do to expand that sphere of influence, we're going to look at people as far as recruiting potential business partners on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 3. On the lower end of your prospect scale, 1 to 3s are people who are employees. They work for someone else. 1s are people who are lousy employees. 3s are the presidents of the bank, the top-notch employees. That as far as their ability to pick up and run and build a business of their own, it doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they have zero experience. Being the president of the bank does not make one a good entrepreneur. So you want to be clear about how likely it is for someone to build quickly. So 1 to 3s are our employee types. 4 to 6s are the entrepreneurs. Those are people who have a landscaping business or work on commission. So the ones that are 4s really haven't ever made any money. And 6s are people like Bill Gates, who've been very successful entrepreneurs. They understand that there's no paid vacation, there's no insurance benefits, there's nobody that's going to bring them coffee. They're independent. So those people are going to more likely grow faster, have a greater idea of what it takes to make it than our 1 to 3s. Now our 7 to 10s, those are people with experience in network marketing. 7s are people who've never made it. They tried Mary Kay, or they did Tupperware, or they did something in the past, but it didn't work. And 10s are the people on the top of the heap. They've built an organization and they've been successful. When you think about recruiting activities, rather than approaching people from the standpoint of how do I talk them into doing it, how can I sell them on the benefits, how do I tell them how fabulous our company and the pay plan and the products are, I'd like you to shift that focus and think, how can I rate this person to see how likely they are to make it? And as we are engaging with our recipe for conversation and establishing those rules of engagement that we'll be talking about in the next, well, in February we'll be talking about that, that as we move forward, keep in mind that from a recruiting point of view, your job is not convincing. Your job is to screen, to identify those ones who are looking for you right now. And the great news, it doesn't take that many. One or two key people will give you what any healthy organization needs, more than 100 people who do nothing. So that's the good news. We're going to look for those people who are looking for you. So here's some homework. What I'd like for you to do is between now and next week, go to ParagonPodcast.com and listen to call number 3 on 13 key elements. There are several other calls in the library there that you're welcome to listen to, but that one in particular, just a review of what we've talked about today. If you're brand new to the 5 steps in communicating and selling or recipe for conversation, take your time, listen to any of the calls that are in there. There's several that I think will be helpful. If you do not have a library subscription, if you've not registered for any of that, you can go to Paragon Living Institute and sign up for a 5-step scholarship, purchase a library card, look at the coaching options. There's several variables in there. And again, if you have questions, just shoot me an email, paula@paulaenglish.com. And if you'd like to get your own copy of A Recipe for Conversation, you can go to aRecipeForConversation.com and order your paperback copy, and I'll send it right out to you. All right, we'll be back here same time, same station next week. Anybody have any last questions or comments about today?
Great kickoff. Good reminders.
Yes, and I have another question, Paula, about the options.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 1, you explained. Number 2, what is the difference between number 1 option and number 2 option? The 1 is for just 90 days, correct?
Number 1 is 5 steps. That gives you the 5 steps library only. Number 2 is the full library. So for the $65 a month, especially when we get into recruiting, you'll be able to access the recruiting classes and the recruiting ebook. You'll be able to get into the workshop training. When we talk about the activity and action classes, and I say go listen to the call on writing up e-news, you'll have access to the full library of classes. And again, for people who don't know what's in the library, you can go to Paragon Living channel at YouTube, and there are several videos in there that will give you a complete tour of the library. Does that help?
Yes. It just didn't repeat the library in number 2. That's what I was wondering.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you all so very much for being on today. I'm excited to kick off this new year with you. Again, be sure and email me if you have any questions or there's anything more that I can do for you. And I'll look forward to talking to you next week, same time, same station.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Paula. Bye.
Bye-bye.